All right, hold that thought, Sachita, and we'll come back and talk about specific stocks and take up queries as well. But let me also welcome on the show, Sandeep Raina, who's the Executive Vice President Research at Nuvama Professional Clients Group. Good morning, Sandeep. Great to have you on the show. Well, I want to first ask you, how should one navigate the kind of volatility that has been stoked by the geopolitical concerns across, the Middle East? Of course, there are concerns that if it spills over to, other Middle Eastern nations like Iran, it could have, serious repercussions. But for now, we've seen global markets stage a good comeback. How should one navigate this short-term volatility in the market now?
See, if we talk about markets, these are just action that leads to small corrections. Now, it's not because we've been saying from last now 15 days that we should be little cautious. So when I say cautious, I'm not worried. So we should create cash and cash to the tune of 20% only in mid caps. Okay. So we have to behave right now very different for large caps and very different for small caps and mid cap, because large caps have not done so well in last 6-8 months. They have done reasonably well vis-a-vis if I compare to mid cap. But mid caps, there are so many of them which are doubled or tripled in last 6 months. So we have to be a little cautious on those companies, those stocks which have gone tripled. And they have tripled because of a reason, not just by that, because their numbers are coming in, their PE has increased. So I'm saying that portion of market, I think we should be a little cautious with. While on the Nifty stocks, which are large cap, I'm not too worried. There can be 5-10% correction. Now you talk in Nifty parlance. I don't know. Can there be 18,500? I'm not too worried as a fundamental analyst, because 5-6-7% correction is not a big correction for us. So, but given the state of the market right now, more than what has happened in Israel and Hamas, I think we should be more worried on the global side, on the financial side, which is what is happening in US, what is happening in China. India is doing great. So that way, I will be a little cautious in the market, but I'm not worried. So in simple tense, if I just tell you in simple one sentence.
Right. Of course, caution warranted in the mid-cap end of the market. But let's talk about the mid-cap PSU banks. I think they have become prone to quite a bit of correction. Some of these banks like Indian Bank and, Bank of Maharashtra, they were among the top laggards yesterday, 5%, 6% kind of cuts coming in. They've already had a very good run. Do you think valuation-wise, this correction is warranted now, and that perhaps, investors can look at some of these names on correction?
See, I think the larger PSUs, they are the reasonable one, like SBI and Nuvama. Indian Bank is also reasonable. But the other one that you're talking about, actually, they are closer to now 2 book, 1.8 time book. I mean, I'm getting a private bank at 2 times book or something, or maybe 1.8 times. So I will look for private bank rather than these smaller PSUs. So I won't be very keen on these small PSUs, frankly, right now.
All right. Of course, private banks is where, the value is at the juncture. But let's also talk about in Adani Ports. Of course, it has the Haifa port in Israel. And because of that, I think there was a little bit of caution yesterday. We saw the stock plummet somewhere around 6% or thereabouts. Today, this morning, we have a brokerage report on Adani Ports from CLSA, wherein they have a buy rating, target price of 878 rupees per share. It says that the Haifa port accounted for just about 3% of the H1 volumes for the company, and war fears in fact actually present a good buying opportunity when it comes to the Adani port. When it comes to Adani ports, what are your own thoughts? Do you think this is a good opportunity to now buy into this name? Because a lot of market experts have said that said positive or have given their positive views when it comes to this particular stock, Adani ports.
See, I don't cover this stock, but broadly I'll tell you, it's a new port for them, and the volumes won't be very big. As you said, 3-4%. Yes, it is very small. Now, these geopolitical things can impact them for 5-6 months, but that's about it. When you buy a company, you buy for a really long time. And as a promoter also, you look for a property or for a product or for any asset for a very, very long time. So I don't think so this will impact Adani Port's number to a very, very large extent, as the valuations come more from the Indian port and the volume that they will do in India. So yes, and it's a reasonably good company given the cash flow they make. So yes, we can basically buy that. But having said that, what I just want to tell you guys is, right now the more interesting part is Indian companies. So look at what is happening in power. the entire power segment from the products to actual power, the renewables, those are looking very interesting. The capital goods is looking very interesting in India. So I'm saying look for companies which are domestic in nature, where the revenue comes from domestic, because domestic market is doing very well, and there's a lot of scope in defense also. So whatever is manufacturing, because India lacked that, right? Now, if you see right now, the focus is towards that. So look for companies in that space rather than getting into other spaces. That's my view, and that's what we are telling our clients.
All right, that's the view on ports and of course, the power sector as a whole. But let's talk about, BSC. Now, this stock has been on a tear. It has already revised its buyback price and, current buyback price of 1,080, it is somewhere around 30% above that. And of course, we've heard that, it has got lukewarm response for its buyback as well. What factors do you think will continue to or will drive the stock's performance here on, given the fact that it has seen such a lukewarm response? What happens to capital allocation, dividend distribution, and how will the stock react to the kind of lukewarm response that it has garnered? Do you think much of the rally is the leg of the rally is over now, and perhaps it could look at some correction from here on?
So for BSC, I think what they're trying to do is they're getting into F&O, and they're trying big time that side. And we know the big daddy NSE is actually the volume leader that side. So they are trying everything possible, and I don't think so. Maybe there can be some small correction. That's about it. But if you see for the long run, I think BSC is reasonably good stock to hold, because India will grow, Indian markets will grow, the trading in India will grow. So that is a stock that you should have in your portfolio for a long term. But the small correction is okay, because the stock has rallied off late, if you see in last 3 months. So that's okay.
All right. And lastly, I want to get in your thoughts on Hero Moto. Of course, there's been run-in with the authorities. In August, we saw, a run-in with the ED. And yesterday, of course, there was news flow that the Delhi police has filed an FIR against the company and its promoters. So, every time this happened, the stock has given a, reaction or thereabouts. Do you think these are just short-term moves, and, the fundamentals of the company remains intact, and perhaps it is, one stock in the two-wheeler space that warrants a look?
See, the issue with these kind of news flows is that the stock never performs. And what happens is, whenever the stock performs, it will come down again. So for an investor, if it doesn't matter, because if he's playing for long, let's say for 2-3 years, it has no issues. But for a trader, it becomes a very difficult stock to trade, because every time you'll see a correction of 4-5%, the trading losses becomes high. So for an investor, it doesn't matter, because these things will keep on coming, they will get rectified, and business will run as usual. So for a long term, I don't think so there's an issue with this, and maybe it can be accumulated. But the horizon has to be bigger, like maybe 1 or 2 years.
All right. Keep a longish horizon when it comes to stocks like Hero Moto. With that, Sandeep, it was a pleasure chatting with you. Thanks a lot for taking out time and joining in this morning.
Thank you.
Well, with that, we've come to the end of this edition of Morning Trade. From me and the entire team, thanks a lot for tuning in. But don't go anywhere, because coming up next is Opening Bell.